Hey everybody, listen, I'm not nervous. I'm literally just out of breath because I just did a VO2 Max for probably the first time in about 20 years since I was in grad school. And I'm over here at Summit Physical Therapy, who just opened a new location in Hickson, and they are now offering VO2 Max. This is Hope. She's the wellness coordinator. So Hope, give everybody a little understanding of what that means when we talk about VO2 Max.
Yeah, so VO2 Max, just to explain, is the max amount of oxygen absorbed in the body. Good. Good. And we track this by knowing how well are we using that oxygen for energy, things of that nature, to know your metabolic rate.
Okay.
Metabolic rate is how fast or slow your metabolism is moving, how fast or how many or how few calories you're burning.
Okay. And one of the cool things that you guys offer is they have both a resting VO2 Max, which I did, pretty cush. I was kind of meditating during that time. And then they put me on a bike, a little different speed. Literally you feel like you cannot go another cycle around on the bike. And so the ability to kind of see both those rest and active VO2 maxes are very important, right?
Very important. Because your rest, you know, what are you doing here, sitting here, breathing? Are you utilizing your lungs to full capacity? Are you able to burn calories as you're sitting here, as well as the active? How well are you burning once you start to get into that performance?
And the understanding of how to breathe through those events are pretty important, right?
Very important.
You tend to want to mouth breathe, I think. I noticed that as I was getting a little close to the end, but like how you're breathing helps you to kind of navigate how you can improve and function, correct?
Absolutely. Your lungs and your heart are your entire function of your body.
Right.
So if you're not able to fully utilize your lungs, how are you able to, you know, have energy for the day? How are you able to last throughout your workouts, things of that nature? And as well as your heart. Is your heart, you know, not in balance with the rest of your body? So this really calculates all of these different components, and then we then figure out what's the best course plan for you.
Which is what I was going to ask. So not only can you have this test done and assessed, but then there's actually a protocol or a plan that's individualized.
Yes,
can
absolutely.
You expound on that?
Yeah, it's a metabolic care plan. So once we take both tests, the rest and your active, we'll sit down with you. We'll go through the top three, or whatever may be the best for you.
Okay.
But the top three protocols that we would recommend for you to enhance or change. That way you can have a better result, whether it is for weight loss, performance, or longevity.
Okay. Two questions. Number one is, how often should you have your VO2 Max checked?
I would say every 6 weeks or so. So the great thing about this plan is after you take the test, it'll recommend the next time you should do your rest or your active, so we can test and see how far have you come since taking the first one.
So it's a little bit like going to the dentist. It needs to be far enough out that you've forgotten how miserable it was while you're doing it.
Right. And come back.
Yeah. Then the last question I've got is, who should have their VO2 Max tested?
I would say any and everyone. If you want to know how well you're breathing and how well you're going to live, you know, like let's just think about living in general. We can find out how well we're breathing, but then are we going to live a quality of life afterwards? So that's what this test will give us. So that's for any age, any circumstances, any kind of condition necessarily that's happening for any individual.
Now, I don't know if you guys treat kids or kind of under 18, but I would think athletics would be a very important.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about that for my son as I was out there, but even for our patient population at Optimize U, we look at a lot of longevity. We're looking at that demographic of 45 to 60. How do you become the best version of yourself?
Yes.
I think this is going to be a huge tool, a huge resource for us here in Chattanooga. And if you're a part of Optimize U, you'll probably hear us talking about it, referring you over here. But I just wanted you to know that before I would send you, I did it myself. It is hard. I'm still out of breath. But it is going to be something that really takes you to the next level from a longevity and quality of life.
Good. You can lean forward if you need to, just like you can slow down. You're doing great. You got this.